Today I will be reading from Sentinel, a publication for members and friends of the American Prairie Reserve, Summer 2018 edition. It takes a prairie dog town. The story of saving the gravely endangered black-footed ferret really begins with the prairie dog. The American Prairie Reserve, APR, landscape is the native home of the black-tailed prairie dog, and APR is laboring to greatly increase prairie dog numbers in the next 3 years. That's not just because prairie dogs are clever, highly vocal, and charismatic. It's also that they are a keystone species for the entire prairie ecosystem. More than 150 species either prey on or rely upon them to thrive. Black-footed ferrets fall into both categories. They dine almost exclusively on prairie dogs and also make their homes in prairie dog burrows. So a steep drop in dogs is also a death knell for ferrets. One ferret can eat up to 100 prairie dogs in a year, so that means a lot of prairie dogs are needed. Prairie dogs have been dramatically declining since 1990s due to the loss of habitat, humans killing them, or disease. They are currently estimated to be only about 2% of their former population, says Dr. Karen Kunkel, Director of Wildlife Restoration and Science at American Prairie Reserve. Prairie dogs need to saturate about 2,000 acres in order to be able to reintroduce the black-footed ferret to the reserve. Currently, most of the remaining black-footed ferrets are in captive breeding programs in an effort to save the species, and APR is hoping to bring ferrets back to the landscape. But first must make conditions conducive to their survival. Healthy populations of prairie dogs are paramount. Little heroes of the prairie. Burrowing owls and other raptors, snakes, badgers, coyotes, swift foxes, mountain plovers, insects, plants, and even bison are just some wildlife that benefit from the busy little prairie dog. For instance, prairie dogs eat grasses, then return valuable nutrients to the soil for species like bison, and they keep vegetation in check for others like the mountain plover, which needs relatively open ground to make nests and forage for insects. Prairie dog restoration projects. American Prairie Reserve is embarking on and growing a number of projects to boost prairie dog populations. Projects of this scale often require partners, and this is no exception. APR works each year with the Prairie Dog Coalition of the Humane Society of the United States, HSUS, and the Defenders of Wildlife on teams to help APR scientists and staff dig smarter prairie dog burrows, place nest boxes in the ground, and treat existing colonies to prevent disease. Noelle Guernsey, program manager of the Prairie Dog Coalition at HSUS, loves to do the APR restoration work each year because she says American Prairie Reserve shares our vision of helping Native American wildlife and habitats thrive. This is one of my favorite places and projects. Mowing grass on the prairie. Surprisingly, another prairie dog restoration method used on the reserve is cutting down grass and removing some tall vegetation in specific areas near existing prairie dog towns. Prairie dogs need to see predators coming, so increasing sightline encourages them to expand their ranges. New Prairie Dog Research Project. Beginning this summer, American Prairie Reserve is welcoming a new postdoctorate fellow program in partnership with the Smithsonian Institution. The program's ultimate goal is to reintroduce black-footed ferrets to reserve lands by 2021, pending approvals from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, of course. The project will include mapping and grounding surveys, and APR hopes that scientific papers will follow. Though the fate of the endangered black-footed ferret and many other species rests with the prairie dog, projects like these sing a true song of hope. American Prairie Reserve is carefully preparing for a good home for ferrets for years to come.